Welcome back to the channel. This is Off the Pitch, brought to you by Azar Studios. This morning we head to Silverstone, yes. And what a weekend it was for the British man coming home to win in his home country. And a big story was the man who for the first time in 293 races finally finished in podium position. Lessons from that? No give up, no matter as you want hard reach. It's a lesson every Nigerian must take. Uncanny Sam and the Bishop joins me as we look at everything that happened in Silverstone.
One day it work for us.
One day you go work for us. You look at us, you go big. No, so one day
you go work for us. That Champions League you go win. 5,500 something days. 15
no
years.
Give up. No, so believe. Say this
you're
life.
On 20 years, right?
This life, you go tweet. You go tweet. Say Arsenal are champions. Say amen. Believe. No, first believe. First believe.
I'll take it out with a picture.
No. First believe. Say you go win now.
I'm a believer. I believe.
That's where you start from. Just believe.
Next season.
You believe.
Yeah, I believe
next season.
Yeah.
You've always said next. Don't use next season. Just say believe.
One day. Just one day.
Anyway,
you go better. Well, let's come back to what happened in Silverstone. Fantastic weekend for Lando Norris once again. 8 points behind Oscar Piastri.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask this question. I asked it last week.
Sam.
You insisted that there's still a chance in the second race, in the second half of the season for Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
Is it over again? I want a yes or no or no.
Okay, fact is no, because the man himself admitted
It's not over.
He said, "Look, we're not contesting for anything again." No, he said,
okay,
no.
so it's over.
He said,
okay,
so
so you
we're not
agree
contesting for anything
now
again. So I'm not playing. He said in his, post-match, post-match
Post-race.
conference. Post-race conference. He said, we're not contesting for anything, so I'm not bothered.
Okay.
So if he can admit that,
so there's nothing for you to...
Not me for a year. And I'm going to talk, say,
let's
can
go
still
to
win. Come
Lando
on.
Norris. Another weekend of McLaren 1-2.
Yeah.
They're sweeping it. They're sweeping
They're sweeping it. And they're entertaining us. And I love it. Like I say, they're giving us what nobody actually gave us. 2 years ago when it was between... it started... Max Verstappen... Red Bull gave us something different too, because they allow competition to actually go on between Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen. I think the guys that didn't actually allow that to happen was Mercedes. We are still enjoying ourselves, even though we know it's a competition, it's an intra-competition, in-house competition between the two McLaren drivers. Yeah. And seriously speaking, who I'm rooting for among these two McLaren drivers is certainly Oscar Piastri. But somehow he keep giving up things easily.
Inexperience.
Violating one court or the other. I would not realize he's inexperienced. Even though coming into this season, he's became the guy that everybody was looking for was Lando Norris, because he had a better season last season. And he was one that actually gave Max Verstappen a hot pursuit. At the end of the day, he couldn't win anything. Then coming into this season, we're thinking Lando is going to dominate everything. But he's not as dominant as we think he is. Unfortunately, 3 weeks ago, he had an accident, so he has a DNF, you understand? Yeah. Last week, he was lucky enough to win it. Yeah. Then this week, he made sure that the British continue dominating in Silverstone. Yeah. Because the last time we had a Silverstone, it was a Briton that won it. Yeah. What was his name? Lewis Hamilton. And Lewis Hamilton knew this is my competition, and he was like, I'm going to make it.
The qualifying races were looking good for Lewis Hamilton.
Qualifying races were not actually looking
looking
good. He started 5th. Yeah. He finished 4th.
Yeah. Not a bad end.
It's a bad race for me. If Nico can start 19 and finish 12, come on, what are we talking about? But it's a bad race for me.
Let's look at it from this point of, like I said, you say the British people will tell you that this is their race, this is their people.
They don't want anybody to win in Silverstone.
Exactly. And the fact that it turned out, let's start from the numbers. I'm not the numbers. 168,000 people came out for the final. Over 500 from the qualifiers to the polls. Tells you that it's a court, or let's say a circuit, where the fans worship the circuit, and it will have been a disservice to the fans of the Britons to see another driver from another country to win it. So it gave the like we said last weekend, it was going to be the battle of 3 British drivers. You know, different supporters, different legends. But at the end of the day, we all knew that in quotes the McLaren drivers were going to be either Piastri, because of the car they are driving at the moment. The fastest will be on, but Lewis Hamilton gave us something to he shook us off from the practice. You know, when he won the first practice, I was like, here we go. I dropped a message for Abdullah. Like, come on, since this guy is me.
I was hoping.
And then I never considered
just finishing podium.
After the second practice, and it was still there or thereabout. But when he got to the pole and I saw where he finished in the pole, I'm like, wow, it looks like it's gonna be a 2-horse race between Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri.
It is.
But unfortunately at the race day, we saw it was no longer Verstappen disappeared.
No, a lot of things happened during the race day. Yesterday was one of the craziest day.
It was wet.
It was chaotic. Wet and rainy.
Dry.
Yes. And
that was what affected Verstappen. Even though before the second, what they call it, is it what they call it, flag, was raised because of the rain.
But we have to.
He was losing already.
But we have to.
I
want to add something. For the Ferraris, which as if the Red Bull, but we must have been riders.
Yeah,
they're very bad with turns. And
they are not bad with when their cars just become slower. Their car just becomes slower.
I'm looking at the where he lost control, where he moved from almost 5th to 10th.
The same drivers dominated for the past 3 seasons in all the races.
I'm talking about
their cars.
Some cars are very fast. Some are very good at very turns.
For the past 2-3 seasons.
I agree.
I mean, we had the same thing with Mercedes.
Yes.
So we're not talking that Mercedes are bad with turns.
No.
Of course, they're not bad with turns.
Ferrari got better.
McLaren got better. Ferrari got better. You understand?
Yes, McLaren got better.
So, I mean, for me, you got the pole position. I was happy for him.
Yeah.
Fact. Because I want him to bridge that gap. And I was like, okay, let's see what's going to happen. And guess what? Deep with him, I was like, not just the pole position. I wish 2 of these guys will have a DNF so that he can have this. You understand? So that he can have this massive gulf. He'll cover the gulf that is between the 2 of them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, none of them have it. He started very well. Shortly before the rain,
he
was overtaken by Oscar Piastri.
Yeah.
It clearly showed you that their cars are slower.
But this guy dropped
because as Max Verstappen is as a driver, when Oscar Piastri overtook him, it was so easy.
But the fact that he showed that he was really a good driver. Why? Because when he dropped to 10th.
Now he came back.
He still came back to finish.
And he still
finished
complained.
5th.
He still complained.
He complained
about the car. Just like the same. And that's what I want to talk about Ferrari.
Yeah.
This guy. This is the first time he has went this far without a podium finish.
Absolutely.
And with a different car, he has gone 12 races with a different car, and he's
yet
to be on the podium.
It looks like everybody was complaining this weekend from Piastri to Verstappen.
Piastri messed up himself.
I know, but he was complaining. He said he was going to say some things when he was asked about what happened. He would get himself into trouble. He was not happy at the end of the day. He was really angry.
He just gave me the vibe of what was his name 2-3 seasons ago. The same Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen 2 seasons ago had these little mistakes, keep violating this little code. He has this way of doing things. You can't apply.
He was following the law.
He said in his complaint it was like, can't I match the brakes behind the safety car?
There is the way you match the brake behind the safety car.
There should be procedures and protocols.
It is clear now. It is clear.
For Piastri, it could have just been a race where he would have won.
Yeah, sure.
It was there for him
because matching that brake was unnecessary. At probably he became overexcited. I'm winning this race again. You understand?
Because the way he had cruise control from start to finish.
I feel the past 2 weeks has been so crazy for Verstappen. Decent driver, lost his game, but somehow things are not actually working for him.
69 points.
69. That is massive. That is massive.
Really
that golf is massive.
It's almost impossible.
He admitted. He said, "We are not contesting for
even 2 DNF. We're not helping get that point.
2 DNF will do it.
That's if he wins the race. If he wins the race.
Yeah, if these guys are gonna have 2 DNF,
yes,
2 different DNF.
But he has to win
50 points.
No, but he
has to win the race.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Because that's where the problem is.
Yeah, that's where the problem is. Because even if that happens, there's going to be 20-point gap between the two of them. Now, 19-point gap, which is almost 20-point gap. So for me, I just feel I'm pitying him, sincerely speaking. The commitment, you understand, the passion he has and everything.
Fantastic driver.
Look, we know that the car is slower, but look how he actually contesting with these guys.
Yes, he has
he's doing well for
he's either on the podium, he's on the pole position.
It's close, close.
You understand? And like you said, after that spin, after he spun, he came back and he was able to
from
10th
to
5th.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Massive. Now, it's just how decent he is as a driver.
I want to switch a bit and talk a bit of Lewis Hamilton because a lot of people will say, this guy finished 4th.
He finished 4th.
Twice back-to-back 4th position.
Exactly.
Finished 4th. And in his favorite track.
Yeah. So
why somebody's coming for 19th, which will go to finish 4th?
So
what's the excuse? No.
But at the end of the day, like I said,
so it's like Hamilton calls you aside and gives you something.
I love the way he came in. Looking so grand, came in with his dog.
I love the way
and everything.
The swagger about him. Yeah.
I think this is that deliberate. If you notice, when the Roland Garros was going on, that was when the Monaco Grand Prix.
Yes.
Now the Wimbledon is going on.
I
never have
listening, and they're just making a fun-filled weekend for themselves.
Them were
some of the best races.
Exactly. Best races, and the fans came out in their numbers. Not minding whether it was the Wimbledon or the fans in their numbers.
These guys
they love
game.
Sport.
And you're talking about a country that has 4 drivers.
Yes.
I think 5th technically because Alex Albon was born there. Yeah. So
now Norris, Russell, Hamilton,
and then
Oliver Bierman now.
Bierman, yeah, exactly.
Oliver Bierman.
Bierman.
So by the time you act Alex
with
Albon, you might want to even call 5 driver because he has dual nationality. He can be a Briton and he can be I'm forgetting the name of the other country. So is their home race? They have 5 drivers technically. Come on, and you should expect this number.
And it's good for them that they won.
It's just like what you see in Monaco too.
But it's good for the marketing value they want it because the fans.
Yeah, it is. And just the same thing. That explain why his name. Just Leclerc wanted to win the Monaco Grand Prix at all costs. Because you have him, you have Pierre Gasly, you have Isaac Hadjar, you understand?
Okay.
And so they want to give their own. They want to give their own home fans something to cheer because we are back home. We need to tell you guys that look, we're good.
Now let's come back to the man of the moment. Talking about
the winner of the year.
No, before we go to Nico Hülkenberg, let's talk about Norris a little bit.
Okay.
Now it's closed the gap to 8 points on Piastri. Is this a sign that he could go on to win it? Because if you look at it now, that 12 races this year.
12 more to go.
Both of them are finished in pole 10 times.
10 times.
One, Dr. Piastri has won 5.
This guy won 4.
Of course, he has won 4.
So 2 of them.
Now, but he's won back-to-back races.
He has won back.
He won in Austria.
And
for technical reason, though.
Yeah,
for technical reason.
For technical reason.
The second one is for technical reason.
Yeah. So it looks like Norris is getting closer.
He is 8 points to go. But that doesn't change the fact that Piastri is a better driver.
Yeah, I agree.
Piastri is a better driver.
Not the best driver every time wins the championship.
Well, but I feel Piastri is going to get himself back and say, you know what, I need to be doing the right thing. Then, mind you, the last accident they had, it was Piastri that caused it.
Yes,
that led to the DNF of Norris, right? So if Piastri is going to get his act right and go by the rule of the
I think if Piastri can cut out some errors,
that's what I'm practically saying. You understand?
Cut out some errors, know the rules by the game.
That does it for him.
Because I love about Piastri.
I'm still convinced. I'm still convinced Piastri is going to win.
I think the reason why I feel the same way because he takes some.
He's a better driver.
He takes a crazy risk. And we talk about when we're talking off air. You're talking about the fact that sometimes you don't need to just put your legs on the throttle and move. The guy takes some crazy risks. Most times he pays up. Most time he doesn't, but like I said, he's a young lad. He will learn, and I think it's favorite for me to win this one.
Now let's go to the driver of the day, Nico Hülkenberg, 37 years of age.
37 years of age.
37 and driving like a young man. Well, he's still very young. Life begins at 40.
In sports?
Well, in sports.
In sports,
He's not young. 30 year old. But what a race it was for the Sauber driver. 293 races on Kanye Salmon. 239. I beg your pardon.
239 races.
You have to take him 239 races.
15 seasons.
To finally finish on podium. He didn't win. He only finished on podium. But we have to celebrate him.
But let's give him his flowers.
19th to
19th to 3rd.
It's crazy. Keeping Lewis Hamilton out from finishing in podium for the first time in almost this season.
All thanks to the weather.
Yeah.
All thanks to the weather. Yeah, like you said, instead of Lewis Hamilton getting to the podium, he stopped Hamilton from getting to the podium. But for me, the whole thing was even beyond the sport for me yesterday. He just told me what tenacity does.
Okay.
What consistency does.
Consistency. That's
sincerely speaking. He's not driving for the fastest car. So that is on
that's
that.
True. Exactly.
That's on that.
Take it down.
Not finishing on the podium is justified to some extent. Even though we've seen drivers too. I mean, once in a while.
No, it's the longest.
Yeah, it's the longest time. Yeah, it has never happened that way.
And then the last was 136 or 139 there about.
If Kimi Antonelli of just yesterday is on the podium already but you will say it's Mercedes. That's another thing. But this guy is driving for Kick Sauber. And he's been there for a while, all right. Seeing him doing this in finally, if I saw his teammate, last teammate, Kevin Magnussen, cheering him so much. He just told me that, look, life is all about consistency.
This is his family.
Like
they won lottery.
Look, come on. They were celebrating as if they've won the championship.
Yeah,
they won the championship.
You probably think that he won the race. If you're watching, if you just
they won the race.
See, to be honest, if you're just tuning and you saw what's happening,
you think he won
and you
the
don't get to read the news, you go out and tell somebody, Nico win. Now he win for Silverstone because it was obvious.
Yeah,
it was
they
obvious.
Celebrated more than even
it has never happened. Nobody even give them a chance. Starting at number 19 and you made it to podium. Do you know what the podium is?
And just to add, so yesterday when the race was just finishing, I got a call for Wakani Sam, and then let me add his name. His boy, who is a huge fan of Formula One, very soon he will be on set with us. Was telling him in the background that did you see Nico? He won his first podium, and I was like, this is what we want to see. Hopefully, I am happy. Donald, yes. Donald, if you are watching this, well, hopefully we'll see you soon. We'll join us on set and we'll be able to talk Formula One alongside the Bishop. And then we'll dissect, all of the drivers. But it's interesting,
It's interesting, yeah.
It's
one of the most any race.
And that's something.
This is the best.
Yeah, it's one of the best.
Yeah.
You see, sport is all inclusive. It brings. If you don't do sport, what do you do?
The Asian, the Caucasian.
See, you just
the Negro.
The fun of it. Just look at what it has brought to the family.
Yeah, the family.
And I'm happy for him because it might never happen again.
It might never. Yeah, it might.
It might never happen.
It might never happen again.
Who knows? It might never
happen.
But the fact that he retires and he knows that
he achieved
something. After how many years? 15. A 15-year-old boy will be closing getting closer to being.
No, 15-year-old boy will already be getting close to also wanting to
drive a car. Yeah, for the 16-year-old at some point it was. Wow.
So for me, it was even not about the Formula 1. It's about what life is all about. Yeah. If you keep pushing, one day it will work for you. If you keep pushing, one day it's going to work for you. Just be consistent. Don't just give up. I mean, funny enough, for me, if you had started as probably in the mid-table, or probably among
would have probably not
said, okay, it's justified.
But 19.
I think for me, I think it's the highlight of the week. I was keeping that's the biggest event that happened.
Sport generally. In sport generally, it's the biggest.
Nico, I think he should be.
I think it's bigger than. It's bigger than what do you call them? It's bigger than Bayern conceding against 9 men. You understand? Against 9 men PSG. It's bigger.
Far bigger. Yeah. Well, congratulations to Nico Hülkenberg, of course, for finishing podium for the very first time in about 15 years. 239 races. And of course, probably the first and the last. But for Lando Norris, he continues, of course, to push for the Formula 1 title. And of course, we are now in the 12th race of the season. We now head to where?
Belgium.
Where next? Belgium.
Yeah, Belgium. After 2 weeks break.
After the 2 weeks break. And we'll see what happens in Belgium. But for now, Oscar Piastri continues to lead the championship, closely followed by his McLaren teammates. Talking about Lando Norris. Max Verstappen is in third. Yeah. I think Charles Leclerc is in fourth. Then we've got Lewis Hamilton in fifth in that order for the Formula 1. Well, getting interesting. It takes a break.
The constructor is over.
No, it's over. The constructor is over. Except maybe we want to bring.
The only last year.
So the brand of your car.
It's Toyota.
The only last time, so I'm not surprised. The only last time.
Maybe you want to throw them into the mix.
Maybe next year.
But one final word before we go, guys. One word on the weekend.
Amazing.
Absolutely gutsy.
Well, absolutely
gutsy. Yeah,
like Mario Götze.
Let's move on.
Well, amazing for Candice. And so whatever word is said, I'm sure you'll be able to translate that home. Well, Formula 1 moves to Belgium, but before then, don't forget to follow us on all social media handles. We'll keep you abreast with everything happening in the world of sports, not just limited to football, and that's why we call it Off the Pitch. Well, it's still a production of Azar Studios. Remember, like, share, and subscribe on all our social media platforms. Off the Pitch, brought to you by Azar Studios.